87 subscribers now, baby. Woo! I fucking love it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really fucking do. It's been a minute since I did a fucking video. It's not for any real reason. Just took a break. I have lots of things to talk about. My mind was going a little crazy there. Just things are just so busy. You know, around Mother's Day, around my birthday. And then, you know, that was like the weekend, and then that was like the weekend after my last video. And it's just been like 2 weeks since then now. And anyways, I'm not gonna give you guys a bunch of excuses of why I haven't been on. I just haven't been on. And you know, sometimes when you just stop and you forget, and, you know, like worry about this shit, cause you know what I mean. I'm making videos. I was making videos. I made 3 or 4 videos in 1 week. Probably 3, not 4, but you know. And then my numbers were going down. I was at 83 subscribers. I went to 84, then back down to 83, then 85, and back down to 83. So I just stopped looking at it, stopped fucking focusing on it, stopped watching it, and then I think it was yesterday, I opened it up to take a look at it whenever I was like waiting for work or something. I can't remember how it played out. And then lo and behold, there's 87 subscribers there. Well, that's pretty fucking cool. So you know, that is what it is. That was pretty fucking, I was pretty happy about that. Seeing 87 subscribers there, I was like, wow, that is amazing. It's beyond the 86 I wanted, so that's cool. So thank you to everybody who subscribed. Just helped make that happen for me. I appreciate it completely and utterly. I'm fucking tired. Well, there isn't a recording, so I'm tired. But that's what to talk about, so let's get into it. Alright, so I don't know if yesterday I recorded a little bit yesterday. I was gonna I was getting ready to record something. I know my shit's plugged in, so I hope it doesn't fuck up. But anyways, I was getting ready to record something, so but then I started feeling like shit. Anyways, point is, I've been fucking around with the elements a little bit on my birthday. I wanted it to rain. And it rained, but I ended up getting to go home. But nonetheless, I didn't forget. So this is what's really bad. I kept putting it off to make a candle for the elemental of water. And then on Jupiter Day, I should have did it. A bunch of other things happened that I was asking for, that were associated with the element of water, and working just like one of those days where like so many things happened. It was just like, oh my god, like I just felt so overwhelmed and blessed that I came into this knowledge, because like the reason, like everything that happened, I don't want to say it, but everything that happened was like without a doubt proof that this shit's real and it works. So I had all this proof, everything was going good. So I'm like, it's perfect. This is last Thursday. I guess it's perfect. It's Thursday, which is ruled by Jupiter, which is very much associated to water. So I'm like, perfect, you know. But anyways, point is, I was supposed to do a candle for the elemental water, for asking for the rain to come, which came, but because of how it came and where we were in our job, we just weren't able to go home. Just how the cookie crumbled, you know? Nonetheless, after that, we're like 2 weeks past that now, let's say. But up until I did the candle for it yesterday, okay? Yesterday after work, the day before. Yeah, not last night, but the night before, Monday night. Up until then, up until I made that candle for it, okay? Anything that had to do with water, I felt like was just going wrong. Monday night. Up until then, up until I made that candle, okay? Anything that had to do with water, I felt like was just going wrong. before me, like glass bottles of water, of liquid in my hands breaking, my fucking earphone falling in the fucking drain with the water on, just water things after water things after water things after more rain after, just fucked, man. It was just, I just couldn't fathom how much things were happening surrounding water. Meaning that I was supposed to,
I put that there, leave it there.
I promised the elemental and the element of water a candle. And I didn't deliver. 2 weeks later.
I put that there, leave it there.
All these things are happening. So obviously the first thought that ran in my mind was like, wow,
Got my stuff
you know,
here.
this is probably all symbolic. Because I think I'm going to be punished because I haven't done this candle or this elemental yet. So because I think it's going to happen, therefore I'm creating it, making it happen, so on and so forth. Which is probably true. But then it got me thinking, what if things like this happen? You know what I mean? So that we learn how to not control the elements or elementals. Because it's not controlling them per se, but it's persuading them to do things that you want to do on an occasion, on a semi-regular basis, or whatever the case may be for you. So it's not like I'm out there trying to change the weather every fucking day. Like, oh, it's sunny today, I want it to rain. Oh, it's rainy today, I want it to sun, you know? Oh, it's fucking middle of fall, and it's nowhere near snow, it's trying to make it snow. Like, I'm not doing shit like that. But from time to time, whenever it's raining and, we had something planned, I will try to make it sunny. Or when it's sunny, and most of the time there's already a hint, right? Like, whenever it's a rainy day, it tells you, like, how much percentage of chance it's going to rain. So there's already a percentage of chance that it's going to be sunny, right? So it's not like I'm fucking changing the polarity something severe. I'm just going against potentially the odds, especially if it's already raining. But it's not like if I was to say, okay, I'm going to make it snow in the middle of July, where it's not even cold enough to snow if I wanted to. If I could manage to get the precipitation clouds overhead and manage to get at least the weather that cold on top, which would probably create some kind of storm, having that cold and hot air there. So don't do shit like that. Like, something worse. But anyways, all this is to say was, when you're doing the elemental grades in the course, Kabbalah, Work of Self-Transformation, the curriculum, the neophyte grade is you just doing the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram and the middle pillar, according in coordination to the Kabbalistic cross, and you do your meditation on the card, you do the sun's adorations. There's a bunch of little exercises in there. But when it comes to the actual ritual magic itself, okay, the main component is the middle pillar and the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram. So I've talked about in great length what the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram, all the things it does. Now, I went above and beyond in many podcast episodes, videos, on everything that I think that thing accomplishes. But the book gives you an explanation. So, especially when it's doing whenever it explains the greater ritual of the hexagram, okay, in the book, Kabbalah, Great Work, Self-Transformation, it says, like the lesser vanishing, this is describing the greater ritual of the hexagram though, but it says, like how the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram allows you to be free from, this is paraphrasing, this is not exactly what it's worded at, but it's something to the effect of how it allows you to become above the powers, influence, gravitation, whatever. The effects of the elements are able to do stuff to us, right? Cut grass, it might piss off us, earth spirit. Cut down your trees, trim your trees, it might take that as an active progression. Same thing, I pissed off a water spirit. I've had many rogue water spirits in my plumbing when I was doing renovations that were pissed off at me, and I could not solder anything together. Water mess after water mess, broken pipe after broken pipe, things flying off. Not until I fucking do a cleansing or give a candle that I'm able to solder. So this is the kind of shit we're talking about. And, sometimes you can piss off something regardless of doing your lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram. But the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram, as stated in that book, it says, like the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram, how it allows you to be free from the influence of the elements and elementals. Fixated ritual of the pentagram allows you to reduce the effect of Saturn and then in turn all the planets on you. So I have also talked about that one in great length as well. What it does, why it's so bloody important. But the point I'm trying to say is, the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram allows you to not be so influenced and manipulated, I guess. Not really, but you know what I mean? It's just, these energies can have an effect on you. And by doing this ritual, it allows you to be above that. It allows you to not be pulled in these directions by these energies. But nonetheless, I wanted to affect water. I wanted clouds and skies to piss down water so I could go home early that day. The skies opened up and pissed down water, which there was already a chance of it doing. So who knows if it was me or not. But it already had a chance of it doing that. And so, but because of how it worked, it was our break. We had a 45 to an hour lunch. And then by the time we came back, it reduced substantially. And we only had a little bit left. And then it kind of subsided. And then it poured like a motherfucker right before we were done. But we just trucked through because we were almost done anyways. So, but the point is, I got the rain to come. And then I didn't follow through on my promise, on my deal, on my bargain, on, you know, if you make it rain, I'll give you a fucking candle and incense like I normally do. And potentially some rum or whatever else I may have offered. I don't think I offered the rum to the element, but you never know. But anyway, so yeah, I'm sitting there about, before I even did the candle, thinking about this. Like, well, what if these things happen so that, you know, I can invite the element in to fuck with me, okay? Just think about this. You're doing the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram. I mean, you know, these things can't affect you, right? But if you want to affect this, when you're doing the lesser vanishing ritual of the pentagram, well, it's allowing you to be above those spirits. But then you turn around and you want to affect the elements. And I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't at all. But I'm just saying, like, it allows you to be, you know, above it. I don't know if that means you're blocked out from it completely. Like, okay, they can't affect you, but you can't affect it. So I don't know. That's just something I'm throwing out there. I don't think that's the case. Because, like I said, I was doing a lesser vanishing ritual of pentagram, and those water spirits were totally fucking with me. Once again, what's in my head? Who knows? Maybe these things exist in our minds, you know? I'm not against that idea whatsoever. Whether it's just in our mind or not, doesn't make it any less real. But the point I'm trying to say is, sometimes maybe you gotta piss off an element. Maybe you have to get them against you. Because how do you learn to discipline your children? Well, you learn to discipline your children by your children fucking up, and then you having to suck it up and just discipline your children. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. But if your kid's never bad, then you never learn how to discipline them. I mean, that's not really a great example, but the point is, if you want to be able to control those elements, those elementals, well, maybe you have to open the door for them to fuck with you first. Then they start fucking with you, so then you have this connection. Be it a bad connection, you know, they're fucking with you, they're pissing you off, they're mad at you, but they want you to say sorry. It's still opening the door to a connection. Once you apologize, you give the candle, you do the offering, you do the cleansing, whatever it takes, you now have successfully been able to, you're being fucked by an elemental, and now you're not being fucked by an elemental. So you were successful in stopping this elemental force from continuing to do bad shit to you, which is a pretty big deal. It's like a little milestone. Some people just think of it as, okay, well, it's kind of like a curse. You just stop the curse in your head. It's like, well, it's one way to look at it. It's definitely a way I looked at it. But there's a more empowering way to look at it. And it's that you're a fucking witch, you're a magician, and you just stopped an elemental force or someone's curse, maybe even your own, from continuing to fuck with you. You stopped something magical from happening. You literally stopped some energy in its tracks. You know, and that's a good thing. When it comes to the elemental and the element, what I'm trying to say is maybe once this happens, it opens up a connection to you. See, I already had a connection with the water from doing the cleansing and all that one time with the rogue spirit. And I've done many water magics and all that, and it seems to be good to go, you know. I treat the water with respect, and I try my best. This was straight up my fault. I made a promise, I didn't keep the fucking promise 2 weeks later. And I mean, the things that were happening to me were, you know what I mean, gradual. It wasn't like boiling hot water or dropping gasoline or straight up fucking water damage to my phone, like none of that. Well, the one time I got water on my phone and it said, because I had it plugged in, it said I couldn't charge my phone anymore because it was seeing water or something like that. So that was close, and that's when I was like, okay, I gotta make this fucking candle. I don't think it was the same night, though. I still think I waited a whole day to do that actual candle. But nonetheless, this was straight up my fucking fault. And they didn't straight up just whip my ass right off the hop. They just every day did little things to keep reminding me, like, hey, you still didn't make the candle yet. Hey, you still didn't make the candle yet. And it was until the phone thing and then the headphone thing that I was like, okay, enough's enough. And then the next day I did. So still pretty bad, but you know, by opening that door to that connection, yeah, okay, you have to deal with this elemental. You got to figure your way out of it. But I mean, that's not a bad process either, right? Some people are like, fuck, I don't want an elemental pissed off at me. I don't want to have to fucking fix that problem. It's like, well, okay, maybe, you know, and if you don't know what's going on, then yeah, these things can go from bad to worse pretty fast. But if you know what's going on and you know how to fix it, like me, for example, I was just straight up procrastinating, which is just stupid. And, you know, I am stupid when it comes to shit like that. But I was just straight up procrastinating. And it's like I knew the problem. And like every night I looked at the candles and I just said, no, I went to bed. I was just fucking not tired. I mean, it's hot. You can't tell, but I'm burnt as shit, man. Working out in the sun all day. But, you know, is it better to, you know, do something? And I'm not saying to intentionally make a promise of water and not keep it. But what I'm saying is this is going to happen at some point. You're going to do something at one point. And even if you don't know if you've done this or not, after you cut the grass on a Saturday, you know, or even the Friday, maybe the Friday before you cut the grass on Saturday, candle, Venus, as well as you write Venus, Aphrodite, Frigg, Frida, I don't remember Isis on there, but like, Inanna's the moon and Iana, no, I can't remember, Astarte, Ishtar, all the names for Venus, of course, but you might want to put the element of Earth for the symbols, the elemental on there potentially, maybe even hit the fucking North Pole Watcher if you really want, that's up to you. But you know, you put that on there and you say that you are offering this candle to any Earth elemental spirits, entities that you may have upset. And, you know, you just make amends with them, and you word it, you know, you word it the right way. I'm sure you can find this shit on the internet if you want. I tend to do everything from my heart, though, but you know, you word it in such a way that you make up for anything you may have done in this way, you know, whatever. And even if the elementals are just like, well, we weren't even pissed off at them. It's like, well, great, no need to worry. You're still opening that line of communication up, right? You're talking to them. And, you know, I don't know if they're going to be like, whoa, you did something bad? Let's fuck with them now. Like, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think they're linear like that. I think everything over there, when it comes to elementals, elements, planets, stars, space, all that shit is not linear. That shit is just, like, present. And, I mean, it's, I don't even know how to explain the concept that I understand. But the point is, to be able to control the element forces. And like, once again, I don't mean control as in like you're doing it on purpose to fuck with these things. I mean, you know, whenever things go on, you are able to stop them from happening, from progressing. You know, you are able to realize that, okay, I'm going to stop an element, and I need to fix that, and you fix that. But by doing that, you know, you're taking the step in the right direction, becoming a powerful magician and a witch. It's amazing. Not only that, though, you're opening that communication to the elements. So not only, you know, if you're doing the lesser vanishing ritual in the Pentagram, they can't really fuck with you as much. But, you know, if you open that communication on top of doing that, then you might be able to control them and have luck with something like making it rain, or making the rain clouds disappear and invoking the sun, invoking the air, the element of air. You know what I mean? Invoking the element of air. You want to have a big fucking fire one night, but the wind is blowing. Well, you ask the elemental of air to calm down. You ask the elemental of fire to give you a fucking hand. You know, whatever it takes. You know, you can play around with this shit. That's something a witch does. It's something that everybody should be doing. These things are what make us up. They are part of us. To think they are separate from us is where we've gone askew. They're something we should honor and pay our respects to. I'm not saying worship. Honor and pay our respects to, and realize that these things make us up. And the reason we have a type of authority over these things, at the point that these things can get mad at us and rebel against us, like our children, and then we gotta realize that, yeah, we can fuck up too, just like our parents can. But ultimately, in the end, if there's a step that needs to be taken to make amends, it's on us to make that amends. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a magician or a witch. Should be a little more involved. I'm not saying you have to be all love and light all the time and not fucking, dish out karma once in a while. But I think you should have a more involved mind. And more often than not, find the better spiritual, magical resolution before are going to, hexes and curses. But sometimes the spiritual resolution might be a hex or a curse. Motherfucker just doesn't get it, But the point is, like I said, these things are within us. They're part of us. Everything that you see around you is a part of us. This is all us. We all make up the Godhead, the God, whatever you want to call it, all that is. This earth is also part of us, but it's in a different way, right? We're made up of God and the earth, if you will. That's what makes up our being. But all of us together make the Godhead. So, I don't know. Think of that as you want. I'll maybe finish that idea up later. It's a little too early in the morning getting into big ideas of who's the two gods, the God and the goddess that created us. They're us. But anyways, these elementals, these elements, they're within you. Sometimes I think you need to open that communication. Sometimes I think you do need to do this. You need to, flirt with that. Invoke them. And then if you get what you want, then you give them the offering. I'm not saying you have to fuck up like I did. But if you fuck up like I did, then you have the chance to actually fix your fuck up. Realize that, okay, these things are listening. They're fucking with me. Everything I touched got fucking sprayed on, watered on, things kept going, I kept making messes. Couldn't be around 5 feet of water, the fucking thing would spray and break and whatever. My daughter just spit water at me for no reason. It was weird, man. It got weird. But that being said, even in spite of all that, I was still able to resolve that. You know, so that's cool to me. That means these things are listening. These things are watching. They hear me. When I didn't get the rain I wanted in my head, but that's because I didn't simply say it correctly and word it right myself. That wasn't on them. You know, some level, subconscious, whatever you want to say. But it's probably like, well, I didn't get to go home that day, so why should I give you a candle? And, you know, I thought about that for half a second and said, no, I'm still giving them a candle. Because I know you always got to keep your word, you always got to keep your promises, you always got to keep your agreements. Because if you don't keep your agreements, then who's going to want to work with you? You know, promise an element something, you don't give it to them. Well, every time you ask them to do something for you, what are the odds they're going to do it for you if you never pay up? You know what I mean? But anyway, so that's all I wanted to add to that. Working with the elements is a very powerful thing, especially if you're going to do a type of magic, like water magic. And then you're going to book water. You know, maybe you want rainwater. Maybe you book that rain, get that rainwater, and then you program that water, put a word on it like fucking financial wealth or money, whatever you want. Okay, as simple as possible. 1-2 words max. And, you know, leave that on there for a few days. You stare at it, visioning like what you want. Then you drink that shit in a ritual setting while visualizing you getting what you want. You know what I mean? That's water magic. Now, do you want to drink rainwater? Probably not. That's up to you. Depending on how you get your rainwater. If it falls right from the sky without any fucking dirt, then I'd say whatever, fuck, a little bit of rainwater won't kill you. But if it's coming out of a dirty eavesdrop or fucking rust in it, some bugs and potentially metal, you know, paint chips, yeah, no, I wouldn't fucking do that. So, just keep that in mind. But anyways, yeah, I think I'll move on to another topic. But at least after that whole story you had to sit through and listen to, at least they gave you a type of magic. You gave you water magic. It's fairly simple. Works pretty damn good. Alright. Shit. Let's move some shizzle. Up to whizzle. Brizzles. Today's Friday. May, whatever the fuck it is. Friday, May something. Or Victoria Day weekend, or also known as May 2-4 weekend here in Canada, at least in Ontario. It's generally the weekend where all the campsites open up. Big parties, long weekend, but can be nuts good. When you're going in on work on a Friday, knowing you're pretty much getting off early today, like at least by 3, which is nice, you know, because it doesn't take long to get to lunchtime, 12. By the time we get to the shop, pack up the fucking truck, get to Stittsville, finish that fucking job, it's going to be my first break. Then it's going to be fucking go to the Newt's location. Then it's going to be lunch, and then it's going to be fucking 3. So, I mean, it's going to be nice. And then knowing it's a long fucking weekend, I don't know, it was pretty easy to wake up today. I woke up, got out my way, showered, did everything the night before. Now I'm in the fucking car like I literally just woke up. No caffeine, no nothing yet, baby. The only thing I did was put some fucking green shit on my burn because it is bad. No beater today. I wore a beater the last 2 days to kind of even out my fucking tan. Today I'm just fucking rocking the t-shirt all day to cover up that part of the tan so that, you know, it doesn't keep getting worse and worse and worse. Anyways, all that to say that it's a beautiful day today. It's Friday, whatever the fuck it is. Don't even know the fucking date. And rocking up to work. And the last thing I left you guys with was something about water magic. Because I was talking about the water element. And that's always cool. So yeah, water magic's pretty simple. You want to keep it simple. You don't want to put too much on the water. Now, I used to do different techniques like synchronizing the water to my body, meaning I'd be listening to 5:20 a.m., 4:32. 4:32 hertz I used to, you know, make the bath water for my daughters better and shit like that. And say what you want about it. Maybe it's all in my head, but the baths that I put at 4:32 for the water for my daughters, and I put salts in it, and I do my ritual stuff, set an intention that bath's going to do for my daughter, versus the baths I don't. It's like the difference between my daughter being in the bathtub for like 3 sometimes 4 hours. Like, she is a prudy little 4-year-old when she gets out of that shit. It's the difference between, like, it's not always. It's not like, prudy little 4-year-old when she gets out of that shit. It's the difference between, like, it's not always. It's not 100% system, you know? Maybe sometimes I don't get it right. Maybe whatever happens in the water doesn't happen a few times. But the point is, there are times, and more often than not, that whenever I do everything right, and I do that process, I put 432 bath water, salts in it, set an intention, meaning, like, the bath water usually heal my daughter's ears, or that's the way it was in the past, like one of the things I worked on over and over again, right, so I got it. Whatever the case is, she would literally sit in those baths for like 4 hours, and my wife, unfortunately, and, you know, sometimes she was like, what the fuck, like, I don't get it. She figured she'd get like at least an hour break, right? She had a got her in there for 4 hours yesterday. I'll put her in the bath, I'll get an hour, you know. But this time she'll only be 45 minutes, half an hour if she wants out. And it could be simply that, you know, mom is cooler than daddy. Right? Maybe she wanted out of that bath and play with mommy because, you know, when I made the bath, mommy wasn't home. Like, who the fuck knows? Like, I'm not even going to discount that. I don't think so. I'm not going to discount that idea. But anyways, so, we're sitting there. So, whether that's all in my head or not, who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? Does it really matter? Being in your head, all in your head, understanding that you are the all, alright, is huge, okay? It's one of the best things I can tell you, and for anybody out there to grasp, that they are part of God, that they are, you know, we all make up the Godhead. Because, like, one of the best ways I think you can look at it, it doesn't matter how you look at it, as long as you look at it in a way that benefits you, one of the best ways is like, it would be the Hindu way, maybe, I think, anyways. We're all actors playing a fucking part. Like, God literally, he broke off into this 7 billion pieces and is playing all these different roles. And, you know, he was bored, basically, or, you know, I mean, I don't like the bored reason. God was bored, so how do you have fun? Well, you break off into all these people, and you have all these separate experiences all at once, because you're God, you can do that. I like that idea. I don't like necessarily it seems weird for God to just kind of like, oh, I forget. I was bored, sorry. I was bored, so I want to forget, so, you know, escaping his godly duties or something. But to me, it's more like he just wants to experience everything. He made an earth, he made a water, the sky, whatever. Who knows? Whoever made all that shit, he wanted to experience all that shit. So that's one way to look at it. Like, I don't think that's completely accurate. I think that's a really good way that people, with our limited view of how something's so bigger than us, this energy source that creates us, that we can't duplicate and even comprehend that well. I think that's a really good attempt of people trying to wrap their head around, like, God. Oh, but I don't think that's all there is to it, and whatever the case is. But once again, like, he's out in all of us having an experience. That person at work who's about to lose their job that you know, who's, you know, like a junkie, you think, and he's fucking the verge of losing it, yeah, that's fucking God, man. God is fucking really lost there. maybe in this lifetime that person will wake up, and in this lifetime that person won't. What? That other person at work who's a fucking, who you know, who's a fucking asshole, right by the book. Every little thing you do, they fucking mark you on it, or fucking call you out on it, or rat you out for it, you know. That's God too. You know what I mean? We're all fucking part of God. And I know that could be viewed as a more modern version of a Christian version of God. But I'm not saying like it's Jesus Christ within all of us and shit like that. I'm saying that we are all making up Godhead. And if we ever want to all figure out this shit and come to some kind of realization, because the more people we have, the more population we have, the harder it's going to be for us to all wake up. I mean, that's just pretty much straight logistics. That's just straight comprehensible with the numbers. You know? The more people we have, the more people have to wake up, the harder it's going to be. It's as simple as that. The less people we have, the less people to wake up, the easier it's going to be. That's pretty simple. Anyway, all that was to say that, you know, if you're watching me, you're probably one of those people on the verge of waking up, or trying to wake up, trying to figure this shit out. You know there's more to this shit than it seems. Watching Russell Brand yesterday, not to change the subject too much, but he's been having like 1 or 2 episodes a week about UFOs. How the Pentagon is releasing pictures of UFOs, military people, Barack Obama even, out there publicly talking about UFOs. And he doesn't want to focus on the UFOs so much as like probably his life on another planet with speed and blah, blah, blah. Although he's interested in that, but he's more about the ramifications. The first video he made was really good too, because he literally said, he's like, you know, this does really smell like just another thing to pull over our eyes, to trick us, to misdirect us. Okay? Watch the left hand because the right hand's fucking you up the ass, but I don't want you to see it, kind of thing. And I think that's definitely true for the most part. Is there UFOs? Yeah. Anything we can't identify as in the sky is a UFO. And we can't identify on the water would be a UFO. When I identify as a floating object, right? But are they actually aliens in another fucking place? I don't think so. I've always maintained that aliens that come from another place are not going to be coming through our atmosphere with fucking thing. Now, I don't know if there is such beings, and if they thought, okay, we might need to help these humans evolve their consciousness, then maybe there's a possibility that they would make some kind of fucking something and come through our atmosphere, because otherwise all the other responses and just materialize out of energy in front of us to say, hey, on this planet we don't need to fly in a fucking spaceship. I mean, that's just, who does that, you know? Like, you people do that, but then because the people that run the country and world are lying to you. But anyways, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, so they might do that just so they don't blow too many minds, because, you know, being that there's extraterrestrial life out there would be enough for people to grasp, let alone the energy, the philosophical, the spiritual implications, all that other shit would come with it. Yeah, you can just materialize and dematerialize and be in your place in 2 places at once. They've been there all along, and then all of a sudden, God isn't real, you know, the whole Jesus Christian thing, everybody finds out that that shit wasn't legit, or maybe it is legit, who knows? Who knows how good it's been that, I don't know. It's been that anyway, you know, if Jesus comes out of a fucking spaceship with a name, that'd be pretty fucking cool, you know? I'm not Christian, but anyways, regardless if the answer I get is one that I don't like or actively against, it would just still be nice to have an answer. That's just my opinion. Christianity, Roman Catholic, for some reason that denomination is bang on, you know? It's like, first of all, we have all these fucking thinking religions, but there's going to be one of them that are going to be bang on. It's like, no, man, like, that's not what the God is. All it is wanted for us to just pick this one religion religion and go to church every Sunday and follow these priests and give them power instead of actual God. That's not what they wanted. But, nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is, if for some reason that was the truth, that was real, I wouldn't just be all butthurt and pissed off. I'd be like, you know what? It's not the answer I wanted, but at least it's a fucking answer. At least I know some shit now. At least I'm a little closer to the fucking truth. No, I mean, that's better than nothing. It's like, okay, I guess we're all gonna be Christians now. Which, you know, makes way for a good fucking trick in the sky. Come down with a really good Jesus lookalike. Everybody united underneath that one banner. One woman, Catholicism banner. Anybody who opposes, it's fucking Inquisition time, the witch burning trials time. Everybody else is a heretic and a witch. And you know, they would do it smart. It wouldn't be government imposed. It would be people imposed. It would be show the people the proof of Jesus. Let the people choose to back him up on his own. Let the people choose to make their own little committees and do all that. And then we'll just come in and regulate it to make it, you know. And then let the people go around doing their own witch hunt so that the government can't be held accountable for it. You know, it's not hard to get a bunch of people with mob fucking mentalities, man. We've seen that over the course of 2020, even the beginning of 2021. And so, all that shit's to say was just like, I'd be happy with an answer. It doesn't matter if it's the answer I like or the answer I chose. If it turned out to be a different answer or a different history than what we were taught, I would just be happy with the history. It doesn't matter at this point. Like, I already know they lied to us. Or we already know that somewhere down the line it's just been somebody got the wrong information and tried to switch it, and then we lost the real information. So who's to blame for that? Who the fuck cares? I would just like to know the truth. That doesn't change my day to day. I mean, I might act a little differently knowing that, you know, we didn't really come from Adam and Eve. We didn't already know that and believe that. But, you know, we might walk a little different, talk a little different. You might make a little few different choices. I mean, something like that might actually have some pretty profound changes on a lot of people who like go to church every Sunday and shit like that. But they would find out the opposite. That somehow, without a shadow of a doubt, that they've been believing that for their whole life for nothing. That would have a profound effect. For somebody who's a non-believer who would just be happy with a response, it's just, yeah, this is the way, this is the way, or this is what really happened. Well, I mean, it wouldn't change that much. I feel like I'm talking about a whole lot of nothing. So, I don't know, I might even just stop it there so I can actually talk about something we're talking about. Instead of let's do a lot or magic, and then I gave you a couple things about the bath of my daughter, but I mean, I'm not really giving you much fucking shit here you can work with, so I'm kind of feeling bad. Just kind of talking. But anyways, we are all part of the Godhead. We all make up the God. And here's what I've come to realize when it comes to this line of thinking. When you really grasp this, if you can really understand it, like, I mean, how can you understand that you're God? Like, it's a hard thing to understand. But when you get a type of subtle understanding of it, you kind of realize that, okay, you know what? We all are making God. Like, when I go around saying, like, if we want to see Jesus come back or God come back on earth, we want to see peace on earth, and we all have to come to that realization that we're all gods. We are part of the Godhead. We are all God. And we all unite in some way, shape, or form. And maybe we decide to unite by agreeing to disagree. That we can all be different, and we can all be same, and that it doesn't fucking matter. The only thing that matters is that we treat each other right, and we do everything that we think is, you know, right to the best of our ability. Meaning, like a lot of people do, I get rid of taxes, sure. Maybe all those extra taxes that are just fucking stupid. But maybe some of those are necessary too. But I mean, if you get rid of the taxes that cover the payments to fix the roads and keep the water running right and all that shit, like, then all that shit's gonna fall apart. So people need to be moved past their idiots, the ideologies and their idiot fucking thinking and just think, yeah, get rid of all taxes and everything will be fine, I'll be happy. It's like, well, who's going to cover all the costs and all the shit that it takes to fix things around here so that things don't fucking fall into absolute chaos? You know what I mean? Like, the sewer system backs up, people would die. I mean, we can't be around our own shit. We can't inhale it. We can't eat it. What happens if you eat fucking, E. coli and shit like that, right? People get sick and potentially die. It's pretty fucking bad. Sorry, I just think, anyways, what did we say? But, so, I mean, this shit is important. So, people that open up their minds a little bit more. And I mean, so, for us to be able to get to a place where we can actually do something coherent, cohesive, it would take a lot of that. A lot of people looking into some of these simple ideas and realizing, hey, they're not that simple. It's not as simple as just getting rid of the taxes. Because some of these taxes cover some important shit. You know, hell, all the taxes that pay for the people that go around cutting the grasses on the big cities and all that, it's like, yeah, sure, we can all volunteer to do that on our weekends. But would you rather pay a percentage, pay someone to do it? Or would you rather go there on your fucking weekends and do however much you have to do? And get mad when someone calls in sick and you're doing most of the work and all that shit. Would you rather someone just pay for it? Or you take a little percentage off your money? Or would you rather, doing the time? Well, people are different. Some people say, no, fuck it, I'll go do that. Make a day out of it. I'll drink a beer, fucking cup of grass, I'll fucking smoke, talk, whatever. Maybe me and a buddy will do it together and we'll have a good time. Like, I don't fucking know. Some people are probably like that. And a lot of other people couldn't be fucking bothered. Who wouldn't even fucking probably never even ran a fucking lawnmower yet. Kids are just having their part-time jobs. Same deal, like, they're getting taxed. There's no work community now. Anyways, point is, there's a lot of little things that need to be considered. It's a very hard thing for everybody to get on the same fucking page. Because everybody has a different opinion. And I'd say, everybody, let's say, out of everybody who thinks majority of taxes, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not for fucking taxes. Hell, I wish we didn't have to pay taxes. I don't like seeing my paycheck and a big percentage of it going away. But I do know a good percentage of that percentage goes towards utilities and things that need to be done in my community. Some of it goes towards the school system for my kids, blah, 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 blah. But I know there's some of that's just, it's just extra. It's just not necessary. But, I mean, I was going with that. I mean, like, okay, so let's take taxes, for example. All the kids are starting their jobs, like, they're not going to want to hear that. All the older people, all the people on different disabilities and welfare stuff. It's just, out of that percentage of fucking people, okay, you have to get on board for the tax thing. Okay, here's another thing we need to tackle. We need to talk about taxes. We need to teach the whole population exactly where our tax money goes. And then you can choose to believe us or not believe us, but at least we're giving you disclosure on every single fucking conspiracy out there. Okay? So, taxes. Well, even after they line it up and they say everything, there's still going to be a small percentage of people that are going to say that's bullshit. That's not true. That's a fucking lie. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So, you're never going to have a perfect. But I think if we got like some kind of mass awakening, herd immunity thing kind of feeling, I think we hit like 80% of the planet fucking waking up at the same time, and then the other 20% would just fucking do its own thing. And then get the fuck out of our way. And it's not that it has to be out of our way. I mean, I'm not saying it's in our way or out of our way or opposing forces or any of that. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, fuck, yeah, I might say, I don't even fucking know anymore. But for us all to see God on earth, it has to be all of us coming together because we all make up God. It's not this other entity in the sky somewhere. It's us. We are Him. All 7 billion of us are Him. And everything else that's on this earth. It's Him, her, all that is. Like, anyways, once again, like I said, just a bunch of philosophical shit so far. So maybe I want to regroup and see if I can talk about something a little more magically fun. Alright, what's going on, motherfuckers? So, I am start a new job. We just went from one job to the next job. Just in the middle, well, traveling. Went by the house. Now it's lunchtime. I'm going to have some beats. But anyway, so something was coming to my mind. Driving all around all these, like, mansions, like, beautiful. These people know what's up, right? Because they're not, like, half masonry, half siding all the way up. It's like brick and masonry every fucking where, you know?
Wasn't even recording.
And that's what you want to do if you're gonna fucking last. You know what I mean? You're not gonna. I mean, siding is great and all, and the wood underneath is strong, but you know, your best bet's to have fucking brick all the way the fuck up. Not personally. If anybody out here listening to me is gonna build a house one day, it's brick and masonry all the way up. Just get it done with, and you never have to fix it. You never have to fuck with it. Just gotta wash it off. I mean, yeah, it can decay over time, but you get a good trough system so the water doesn't fall on it, and you know, you're golden. Never have to fuck with it. Never have to redo it. And that's, I mean, it depends on what you want. If you like siding and you like maybe changing the color of your outside, well, and you got the money to, then, you know, what the fuck? Why not? If you want to fucking do that, then you do that. That's how it works, right? If you want to change, you know, you can change the color of your car anytime you fucking want, but you gotta sand it all off and change the color. But it's not that expensive. And people like to go buy a whole new car because they want a new color. It's like, well, that's just crazy. You might as well just fucking sand it off and pay the grand to fucking, or a couple grand to fucking get a new color, depending on the color. But anyways, so that's just a little tip for anybody doing fucking work, since some of the trades, and my trades are trough, eavesdrop, siding, masonry, bricklaying, roofing. Those are my trades. I know how to paint, I know how to do the inside, I know a little bit about framing, I know a little bit about also the putting down the fucking foundation. I did fucking concrete work to put rebar, building forms, pouring the concrete. So I know a lot about trades. Let's just say that. Entry level on almost every trade, but I'm in every trade. So like, I can entry level to anybody's house, any trade. And being entry level, like, I don't know the expert stuff, and I can't do the crazy builds. But when it comes to just repairs and just doing your regular houses that don't have fucking weird shit, because that's what entry level means. It means I've got a few years of experience, and I can't do the things that a guy who's got 20 years of experience, fuck with anything, and things outside the box, and has been able to do whatever they have. But still, in the circumstances, if I was confronted or if I had to deal with something in the moment, and, you know, I got a good mind that I can figure out what to do now that I know the processes. But without knowing the processes, you can have a great mind, which is still good to have. If you're a great problem solver, then that's great. You add that with the skills to be able to do the shit, then you're unstoppable in whatever you do. That's why reading and writing are two of the most important things I can tell people to do out here if they want to become more smarter, more intelligent, more deadly, more able to fucking just own the world. You can talk, it doesn't matter, right? I'm in the trades. I'm not experienced as anybody I work with. Everybody else is more experienced than me. But I'm the guy that everybody likes. Why? Because I can talk to them. I can speak to people. I know people. I know psychology. I know how to fucking deal with everybody on an individual level. And then when we're in a group, I know how to seclude certain people and be like, hey, I know how that made you feel what they said. And hey, I know how that made you feel what they said. And just, you know what I mean? I know people well, and I can read people because people shit on me their problems all the time. So it's very easy to know somebody. And that's why, like, anywhere I go, I'm liked. Because everybody at a specific job site has shit on me their problems at one point or another. So I know how they feel about the guys that are in charge and how they feel about the other guys. Because they all tell me. Because I don't tell anybody anything. I'm a fucking vault. And if I have to vent, there's one or two people that I know that are also a vault that I can trust. And other than that, the other people don't hear it. That's how it works. So, now besides all that, the point of what I'm trying to talk about is I'm driving by these houses, these mansion-looking houses, and, okay, this one house has built into the door a nice window that is a perfect circle, a Saturn circle. Another house has a circle with dot in the middle, like the sun. And then I've seen many astrological signs, symbols all around these houses. Moons. The Venuses and the Marses are very hard to pick out. You can see them if you look at them, and people do it so they're not noticeable. But for the most part, it's easiest to have circles and circles with dots in it and be inconspicuous. It's very easy to do. You don't really have to fucking, just get that up, people can just do whatever. And it's not unfashionable to put up a sign and stuff like that around your house. But the point is, go around a lot of these houses. Like, I got a star in my house, right? Because that's all I can get my wife to fucking agree to for now. But I believe in putting stars on your house. I think it's a good idea to put a star in your house. For many reasons. Because with a star and a circle, it is the sign of the elements. It's the sign of what makes us up. Air, water, earth, fire, and spirit. That's what makes us up, right? So that's a sign of respect that I know the elements make up my house, I know the elements make me up, I know the elements are within all of us, and, you know, I want to fucking respect what makes me up. So, I'll turn left. So, you know, that's what I'm doing. That's the whole point of this. But what I'm trying to say is these fuckers, these rich fuckers, maybe not all of them, because not every house had something to it, but I'd say every second or third house, it'd be like 33% of the houses I drove by in this huge, I'm talking huge, like apartment building size, see, like right next door to me, that's an apartment building. Well, I'm talking about houses that fucking big. Just a single house, 4-car garages and pools in the backyard bigger than public pools, with hot tubs the size of those regular pools. You know, like I have one of those in-tech pools, at Walmart for $500, put it up yourself, all that noise, right? I have one of those. But these guys have, like, my pool would fit in their hot tub, and my house would fit in their pool. And you can put 4 to 7 of my houses in their house. And these fuckers, 33% of the houses on here have astrological, occult symbols. So don't get me started on the pillars I see. So you see either 2 pillars, 3 pillars, 5 pillars, sometimes 4 pillars. But you know what I mean? 5 is the 5-star point. 7, there's one with 7, which is the 7 planets, every pillar for every planet. Even though the 3 pillars is sufficient enough. But the point is, there's Freemason, if you want to call it that, but it's just a cult. It's just fucking a cult. Oh shit, sorry, bud. I just gotta take the fuck off. I gotta park somewhere because I'm gonna fucking die. There's where I want to go, I think. Oh shit. I start cutting people off. Alright, anyway, so, point what I'm trying to say is, out of all these houses, there's 33% of them. Okay, so it's like, there's 70% of them maybe that doesn't have occult symbolism, but maybe that I just didn't see. Okay, they may have still had the occult symbolism, I just didn't see it. Okay, but they may have had it. But nonetheless, the point is, and not all these people are going to make it. Some people are going to have jobs, they're going to fucking get fucked up. Some people are going to fucking lose their jobs. People are going to have to downsize. Whatever the case is, sometimes people get a really good job. They buy a really big house like that, and then they lose that job. It's not a career. It's not something you can just do anywhere. The point is, what I wanted to talk about is balance, of all things. But the point is, if you start doing magic, any occult shit, and you want to make lots of money, let's say, to buy one of these big houses and get a business, and you cast for the end instead of just casting for the means, just for the money. Fuck the money. You cast for what you want to do with the money. You cast for something that you can do that's productive. Okay, something that continuously make you money is what I mean to say. When you cast for that, you now have a means that will always bring you in money. Now you're gonna have things along the way that are gonna fuck with you, but that's the point. So, am I gonna say all 33% of these houses have a temple room downstairs in the basement? Maybe. Who knows? But if they did, this rich fuck, this guy, this woman, who knows? The both of them, maybe they have an nganga. Maybe they just do folk magic. Maybe they just do whatever kind of magic. Whatever it is they're doing, let's just say that's the case. Whatever it is they're fucking doing, they do that, and then they go to work, and they do the work thing. They have to be both in the physical and in the magical. And the magical doesn't have to be half the time. It's like 10% of your time, and the rest of it in the physical. So you lay the foundation. Let's say when you first start, you're like 50%. Like me, I was like 75% in the magical, 25% around, and that's why I had problems with my wife. I had to bring that to a balance. It was like 50-50 for a while, and now I'm like 25, well now I'd say like 10% magical and 90% in the physical. But I have to reap my rewards in the physical. The magical is a means to get the physical rewards. You want your physical life to be more beneficial to you. So you do the magic so that your life gets better. So that at a certain point, there's no difference between the spiritual and the physical. You are just happy. You are living your life. You know a way to talk to your subconscious mind, to your reality maker that allows you to make your reality the way you want it. And this way you're not suffering, you're not miserable. Things are still going to happen because not everybody has the knowledge, so not everybody can do this shit. So other people's things are going to go wrong. People are going to get diseases, people are going to die, things are going to fall apart, your house is going to need whatever. You're going to be saving up a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's just going to happen, and you're going to have to fucking deal with it. That's just life. Sorry, I'm talking with Pentagram, but I whip it out there. It's just life, but you have to be in both worlds. And I'm trying to say you have to be in the physical more than the spiritual. But maybe not at first. Maybe you spend a lot of time in the spiritual and lay the groundwork. But if you're somebody who's just getting into this stuff and you're just watching and learning, but you're not actually putting in suggestions into your subconscious for what you want, then you're just doing nothing. You're turning the wheels, but you're getting no traction. And you're stuck in your physical world that you don't like. So you want to change something, and start doing something to do the change. Make the fucking change happen. Get something going. Do a sigil just to see if it fucking works. Start doing ritual magic. That's probably the best way. Learn fucking invocation and evocation if you really want to speed things up. But all in all, what I'm trying to say is I'm going by all these rich houses, and I'm working on rich houses because we do custom houses. When we do siding, it's all custom. It's all $1 million homes in Ottawa. $1 million home in Cornwall is pretty special. That's like a $450,000 home in, let's say, Ottawa. But $1 million home in Ottawa is like a fucking $2 million home in Cornwall. You know what I mean? Point is, they're fucking beautiful houses. So, point is, you want to do this shit, occult symbolism, man, putting these symbols up, showing respect to these elements is a good starting point. And I know people might say, well, what the fuck's that going to do? It's honoring them. It's honoring you. You are the sun. You are Mars, you are Venus, you are all these fucking things. And if you want them to work good for you, show respect to them. It's just because they are you, they're also everybody else. And they're also something else. But we're all together. Anyways, I'll elaborate more on that on the way. Alright, so... that. I guess I should probably get my map going. Alright, now that I got my map going, let's get going, shall we? Alright, so... as an example, I wear a pentagram. I got a star on my house. I got occult symbolism all around my house. Oh, baby. She's hot. Not at all. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so... fucking busy around this bitch. Fucking hot all day. Oh, another hottie. All these girls getting drunk. If I was a single man, holy fuck, what I'd be picking this shit up like it was going out of style, but I'm married and happily. Okay, anyway, so I wear a pentagram. 200 meters, I said, fucking turn here, Corey, for fuck's sakes. Whatever I know. Okay. Alright, let's see if we can get out here. Alright. So I won't get into particulars, but there's an egg ritual. Okay? A freighter promotes 7-day egg ritual. You gotta go out somewhere every day, crack an egg, and then, that's that. But it's said, and the folk magic-y shit, it is said that what happens is, by doing this, it's a type of offering to a type of spirit, and these spirits follow you home and give you good fortune. Okay? So this cracking of an egg for 7 days at a specific spot allows the spirits to follow you home and give you good fortune. So let's say there are earth spirits, water spirits, or whatever these spirits are. Maybe they're just thought forms created by people. Who knows? But let's say there's people that wanted to be rich. That maybe, whether they knew it was, maybe they're magical or not magical. Because we know there's people that created their own pantheons. Bert will tell you his classes, for how many years he's been teaching witchcraft, have created pantheons upon pantheons of all these different deities and gods for specific purposes, and they release them onto the world. Okay? So there's these spirits that have been created by people with energy and power and doing all this shit intentionally out there. So it's not a stretch to say this. While wearing pentagrams and having these symbols around your house, like I got things in magic marker on my fucking walls, everything from protection symbols to money symbols to whatever, to everything. You know what I mean? It's just phenomenal. How's that ass? Anyways, it's just phenomenal. Anyways, it's just phenomenal. The things people don't know about. But anyways, none of that matters, okay? The point I'm trying to say is, by having these symbols, so one can say, well, what the fuck are these symbols going to do? Well, you can take the psychology way and say for your brain, okay? Your brain, there's a part of your body that does everything. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Pumping your blood, growing your bones, growing your fingernails, growing your hair, breathing when you're not thinking about breathing. All this shit is done by you, yet you're not fucking doing it, right? So how the fuck do you figure that one out? Well, what part of you is doing that? Well, the part of you that's doing that is the special part, is the fucking part that is divine. The part that makes the sun go up every day and makes the moon go up every day. Or if you don't believe the sun and the moon go up, then if you don't believe it's the sun and the moon that goes up, then it's the world that turns, the world that spins. Those things are stationary and we spin. Technically those are moving, so are we. But the point is,
turn right onto Rathburn Lane, then turn right onto Longworth Avenue.
Where the fuck is this thing taking me? I'll go around your way. Okay, I'm going around. Clearly. Double right, like that makes no sense. Fuck. Must have took the wrong turn. Anyways.
Turn left onto Longworth Avenue.
Okay.
Then turn left onto Rathburn Lane.
Alright. Anyways, so the divine part of you is the same thing that makes the fucking grass grow outside. It's this energy that makes things happen. Okay? And we have found a way to tap into that and put in suggestions for things to happen in your life. That's besides the point. The point is, you're doing these things, and you don't know you're doing them. So, this is why I said earlier, one of the best messages I can tell you is that you are a part of God. That you should get that in your head, because when you understand that, then that means that you are capable of all these things. It's the reason you can tap into the water and allow it to rain. It's the reason that you can do these phenomenal things, okay? And all that aside, well, not really. Turn left. What the fuck? Alright, anyways. All that shit aside, I guess. The point I'm trying to get at is there's a part of you that's divine, but you can tap into that part of you. You can become one with that part, but not be that part, okay? So like that cross-communication, you create within you so that you can be able to change your world and change your life and all that. That's why maybe do that one. You turn around, fuck, instead of pulling a U-turn. You know, U-turn sign, fuck, Siri, just say that shit. But anyways, so that's the psychology way. I was taking a long way to get there because I got caught up on every little thing I wanted to say. But the point of that was that there's part of you that knows the sun, the moon, all these energies are within your body. So by wearing these symbols, it eases that. It tells that you are aware of that. And just by having those things on you, good things can happen. I mean, a pentagram is a protective symbol. By having this on me, I'm protected by most dark energy, whatever you want to call it, entities, by people's bad thoughts. This alone scares that away. And you can say that's a demonic symbol, it's a devil symbol, that's this, that's that, it's like whatever, but unprotected you're not. So you keep being fucked with and having all these demonic ideas about all these demonic things, thinking this symbol is a demonic symbol when it's really just a protective symbol. You keep fucking thinking that, but that's just proof of my point that you are fucked in the head by all this shit you're watching that's fucking you up when you can simply wear this and then see the fucking truth through all the lies. The point is, by having these symbols around, the thing I was trying to get at was why having these symbols around, why do they help? Well, I started off with the whole deities, entities that are all around us everywhere, that people create thought forms on the daily, man. Things are created everywhere. They understand these things. There's these spirits, like I said with the egg ritual, that I can't really get into any more specific than that, but they follow you home. Which by doing this ritual, well, they follow you home to see all these loving symbols that honor let's say they're a water spirit or probably an earth spirit. Well, then they're going to see all these symbols like, oh, this is a good place, this guy's fucking, he honors us, he loves us, whatever the case is, you know what I mean? You probably don't feel emotion, but the point is, it doesn't matter. By having these symbols around, it's going to help you. It's going to help you. It's going to trigger your mind. It's going to do so much good for you. Is all I'm trying to say. And so, whether you think of it as a psychological way, because you know what, there's some days where I think magic is purely psychology. It's tricking the mind. It's using your mind in other ways. But then there's other things that I see that's just like there's almost no explanation for. Things that happen to me that's just beyond my knowledge of psychology that I can't find an explanation for how that would be explained away. So it's just like, okay, well, there's something more there. And the thing I always come back to is thought forms, is created entities that we can't see, but we can give life to forms of thought. Because thoughts are living entities. It's like the orbs in the air that you can't see. Things you breathe in. COVID virus are going to take you. You can't see that shit. You don't know where it is. When you get it, you know what I mean? Well, these thought forms are very similar to that. You know what I mean? They're a form of thought that you can't see, that can influence you. There's good ones and bad ones. What vibration are you resonating on depends on which ones you're going to fucking get, really. If you want to change that, there's many ways you can go, by just straight up postures, change your own physiology to be more happy, to straight up different affirmations you can take if you're that type of person that might work, or just physical activity, or just letting it out, you know what I mean? Old good old fashioned punching a fucking pillow can sometimes do wonders, you know? But anyways, I'm going to stop there because I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. So, and I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll continue on my ride home. Alright, so now we're on Saturday. Started the long weekend.
And last I left you was talking about the symbolism on these rich houses. And I was trying to make the correlation and the connection of why that's important and how, not only why that's important and the symbolicness behind it and what it means, but how and why it can help you. So, before I go any further, and keep restating what I'm saying, because I think I made a couple points so far that, I used an egg ritual that Frederick teaches, that their spirits will follow you home. So I made the case that there's spirits that can follow you home doing something like that, then there's thought forms and spirits are meant. Seeing these things is a symbolic honoring, you know what I mean? Like, they see the sun there, they see Saturn, the ring, you know what I mean? They know this person knows something, whatever the case is. That was just something I was trying to work up to. That was what was in my head, though, I'm not gonna lie. But the main part I was trying to say was that these people have balance. They worship the occult. They use these symbols. They use these symbols to show their appreciation. But it gets deeper than that. Like, these symbols are in our mind, in our psyche, okay? Meaning, when you see the halo, when you see the circle, when you see the circle with a dot in it, Venus sign, the Mars sign, whatever, certain colors, the star, the circle, and the star, these things are embedded in our psyche, and they have been programmed, sometimes programmed sigils, but I won't even go that far. They actually just mean shit. Like putting the sun on your house will get it, will show it, will illuminate it, bring attention to it, because the sun shines light on everything. But anyways, I'm going to use Frederick Xavier right now, just so you don't think I'm talking out my ass, to prove this point. You'll go through some logos and say basically what I just said, but probably a lot better. So let's get to that right now.
And so he visited my page and got the sale code and made his purchases. And I had to go look up Infinite Waters because I never heard of him, even though he has over 1 million subscribers. So I went to his page to check him out, and this is what I saw. I was immediately drawn to his logo because there's a lot of occult in it. We're going to decipher it here. But his content itself is mostly spirituality. I haven't watched all of his content. I'm making that assumption based on the handful of videos that I did watch. It all seems to revolve around matters of spirituality, which is important in the context of this logo. And this logo is very simple. Most logos are. So first up, we have the upside down triangle. And this inverted triangle is symbolic of the element of water. We then have the infinity symbol running through the triangle. So Infinite Water's logo is actually saying infinite water. We also have this little bit sticking out at the top of the logo, and these two little lines intersecting the triangle make up the sign of Pisces, which corresponds with spirituality. Now, I haven't heard him say this in a video or anything, so I don't know this for a fact, but based upon his logo and what he's doing, I would be willing to bet money that Pisces is his sun sign. I mean, it's in the logo. He's got to be, right? And Pisces is a water sign, mutable water. So, yeah, his logo is all about water. Infinite water. And this is the kind of thing that I come across all the time, where I'll see something like this and know instantly what it is. And so will you, the better you get with symbolism and correspondences. I just need to be better at making a note of them when I come across them so that I can talk about them later. This time I did, and that is why I'm making this video. Here's another easy one, the logo for Target. They didn't have to work too hard on this, as it's literally the astrological symbol of the sun. They just colored it red for action. So the sun correspondence shows it to you. The red gets you to act, and the name is Target. The name is literally the goal. It's a very simple and ingenious design. And again, they didn't have to work too hard at it. They literally used the symbol of the sun. And a lot of logos do. A lot of logos incorporate sun symbolism into their design. And there's a good reason for it. I just gave it, actually. But if you ask a conspiracy theorist, they'll tell you that it's because these companies are a cult of sun worshipers. And they put the sun in their logo because they worship the sun.
I decided to look around for something else to worship, something I could really count on. And immediately, I thought of the sun. Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night. First thing the next morning.
And this is the viewpoint of those who are not in the know, who can only see things through the limited perspective of their own religion. It's in the same vein of a Christian who believes that if you're not worshiping God, then you must be worshiping the devil. Because of polarity. If you're not worshiping one, then you must be worshiping the other. You got to be worshiping something, right? But it's simply not the case. The reason that people use the sun in their logo is to tap into the sun's correspondences and draw attention to their brand. It's all about getting attention. If you want to stay in business, you have to have customers. And you can't have customers if they can't find you. They use the sun to shed light on their business through symbolism. And symbolism is the language of the subconscious mind. They may not actually be shining a light on their logo, but they're doing it symbolically, which is just as powerful. The sun is the main source of natural light in this solar system, and this is why they use it. The subconscious understands these symbols. The subconscious speaks in images and symbolism. That is its native language. It's a big part of the reason we have logos to begin with. So their logo is getting attention via the sun's symbolism. It's telling you to take action and go via its red color to target the goal. It's a very, very clever logo and about as simple as you can get. Remember, the simpler the symbol, the more powerful it is to the subconscious. The auto industry dips its toes into astrology as well. We have Ram trucks. Ram is Aries, corresponding with Mars. And then you have something like Lamborghini, whose logo is the bull, corresponding with Taurus. Taurus representing the finer things in life, works of art, money and the material. And you may even have Toyota trying to tap into that as well, as their logo is very similar to the astrological symbol for Taurus. Here's another simple one, Texaco, displaying the star symbol in their logo. And you're going to come across stars in logos just as often as you would the sun. And this is because the star or pentagram represents the elements, the building blocks of reality. And so by putting the star in your company logo, you are making your business real. You're making your company tangible. You are bringing it into manifestation. And stars also get attention. That's why they call celebrities in Hollywood stars. And it would be impossible to list them all. There are so many companies out there who are using the sun or stars in their logos. I won't be able to go over them all, but I can show some of them. But I'm not going to talk about each one because the meaning is the same. In every case, they use the symbolism for the same purpose. They're all over, and it really is occult in plain sight. These are everyday common logos. And this is just the base level.
All right, so there you just heard it from him, a little bit about what these things do and the archetypes and how it's in the psyche and all that. You heard a little bit about it and why it's important. But I think it's perfect, this video, and I don't like using his newer videos like that either because they're brand new. I'd much rather use a 7-year-old video that's been seen many times. Because I'm not trying to steal his. I'm not trying to get people to watch me by using his content. I'm trying to use his content to teach and show people where I got my knowledge from and where I'm basing my ideas from. It's like citing my work almost. It's like I just regurgitate what he says, but what's the fun in that? But I still want to prove the point and then add my interest onto it. But instead of me just saying it, claiming it as my own, put his video down so you can see it. And then, I might not put the tags in there and the links in there, but, by what I put there, I always make sure I leave the mystery school and or, depending if I was on my comments or not, but you'll see the title of it and how many subscribers and or how many views and shit like that. Anyway, so all this was to say was like the reason you can put these symbols on your home, on you, and have success is because of what they do. If you want, let's say you're somebody who wants attention, you want to be picked, maybe you have a job and you want to be noticed more for whatever reason that's beneficial to you. Well, if you had a fucking chain with the logo of the sun on it, that would certainly help you out. And
likewise, if you didn't want to be noticed as much, well, then you could use Saturn to restrict the amount people see you. So there's many ways to go about using these symbols, and the more you know about these energies, these planets, these symbols, what they can do, the better off you're going to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use 3 more videos of Freighter Xavier's. Older ones, his astrology ones, but they're just small clips of them. The first one is his first astrology video, a couple minutes. The second one is of Saturn, but it's only like, I think, a 5-minute part of it. I think is most relevant. And then the sun, I'm going to use a sun video. Because here's the thing. Just like astrology, just like everything, we all come in twos, right? We talk about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. It's male and female. It's positive and negative. To feel whole, you have to have a partner sometimes, you know? You get married, whether you're man or woman, or your woman likes another woman, or man likes another man, or any one of the other genders that there is out there, whatever the case is, you want to find your second half. Well, our sun has a second half, whether you want to think about it as Sirius, the other star, the dog star, or just Saturn completing it, or the moon, or whatever the case is. There's always 2. One completes the other one. Well, when you do astrology, when you want to know about something, when you want to know about how this planet acts, you know, your best bet is to look up the other planet, the opposite planet. Let's say it's in a sign. Your planet, you look at the sun is in Aries, and you want to know who rules Aries. Well, that happens to be the sun. So that's a good one. You don't really have to look at its other half. But if you want to know the opposite polarity of it, let's say Saturn's directly opposite of it, well, then you have to figure out what's going on there with Saturn. The point I'm trying to get at is by learning about Saturn, and this is all just to teach about symbolism right now. I'm using this to teach you about symbolism, how it affects the archetypal programming, let's say, that's in our mind, but that goes way deeper than just thought forms and egregores. Although it could be just that. It could be just we've been programmed for so long that these stories are what's what, then that's just the way it is. But I think it's more than the reason we have the 7 planets, and they have deity forms, and they have names, and they've been deified, and they're archetypes now, and all this shit. The reason we have all that is because it is something deeper down inside of us. Anyways, so yeah, the point of these clips, the one with the law of rhythm, law of vibration, rhythm, frequency, law of rhythm, he talks about the waxing and the waning of these energies and planets, and that one just explains a bit about the planets, what they are, and blah, 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 blah. So it's a very small clip. But the next 2, the Saturn and the Sun one, go together. So when you're learning about Saturn, he talks mostly about Saturn and a little bit about some other correspondences, but he gets big into, I mean, you should watch the whole video, but the part I want to show you, he just gets into the archetypes and the secret that if you're a star trying to write a song or anything like that, to how to properly honor these planets. You can put this into use by putting up symbols on your house. If you do it properly, you'll get attention and good things will happen to you. You can get fortune by just putting symbols up around the house, because, like I said, if you ever make me like, what the fuck, why? So does that make any sense? Just by putting a symbol on the wall, because it strikes people's minds. Everybody that walks by, even if they don't know or see it, their subconscious is still going to see it. More people that go by your house and they're not conscious of it, they don't know, fuck. But just because they're not conscious of it doesn't mean it's not now. In the God mind, in all of our minds, we are all God. So the more people that walk by your house and see these symbols, like I think you just heard it, the star brings things to life, it makes it real. My house is real. You know what I mean? Until then, it's just something to figure. Anyways, doesn't matter. On who? Who's here? What's going on?
Like Savannah and her friends are with Owen on the front porch, but he's just being hyper, and then Cece's out there, and don't like have to go out or anything. Just have to say, like Savannah says she's going, and Cece has to come in and give her a shower.
reason these ones I'm going to play here, it's not so much about the actual symbolic, what the symbols mean, as the last one was, but how it affects the mind. But you have to listen to Saturn and the Sun. You have to do, if you're going to learn about the Sun, you're going to have to learn about Saturn, because they are polar opposites. You can learn about each individually, but as long as it's better to learn it from the scope of positive and negative, how they interact with each other, what their jobs are. Because Saturn can seem like a really bad planet, but it needs the Sun there to accept its limitation and boundaries and push beyond it. Because if you don't do that, you just let Saturn's boundaries and limitations, they'll just eat you alive, and you just have no fucking life, and you'll be miserable. You know, you'll become black-hearted, as he's going to say, as you're going to hear. And, you know, that's what the Sun's there. Just like Saturn's there to stop, let's say, Jupiter from giving everybody all the worries in the world. Everybody just keeps worrying nonstop, and Jupiter just keeps expanding it all. Saturn's there to limit Jupiter. But in the same sense, if Saturn's not limited and not stopped by the Sun, who says, perseveres, says, no, let's fuck that. Enough's enough. I can't take this shit anymore. I'm going to push back. And Saturn is happy by that. He has to do that. That's his job, because it's the lesser of all the evils. But it has to be done. And then the Sun's there to keep it in balance. So these two forces against each other keep each other in balance. Just as Jupiter and Saturn keep each other in balance. Just like the Sun and the Moon keep each other in balance. They split up the day just fine. One has the night, one has the day, and everybody's happy. You know, Mercury and fucking Venus, male and female. Two minds, you and your wife, or you and your husband. We need balance. I meant to say Mars and Venus there, not Mercury and Venus, although Mercury is hermaphroditic and kind of completes himself. But I meant to say Mars and Venus, male and female, the divine male and the divine female. And balance doesn't always have to be 50-50. Whatever balance is necessary for you. So that's back to the first thing I started, well, the first thing I started talking about, but initially before I got to the symbolism, was how these rich people have all these astrological signs on their house, how that could help them. Once again, they're doing a small percentage of magic. The rest of it is in the physical realm, where they have to reap their benefits, reap their rewards. So, oh shit, I'm starting to fall asleep. So yeah, with all that out of the way, that's going to get into this video. These clips, I'm going to play them all back to back. Probably won't chime in. I might not even come on after it's all done. If I do, it'll be very brief. But anyways, in case I don't come back on, I appreciate everybody who's subscribed up to 87. That's phenomenal. I am truly humbled by all of that. So thank you. Anyways, have yourself a nice, safe, long week. I might not even come on after it's all done. If I do, it'll be very brief. But anyways, in case I don't come back on, I appreciate everybody who's subscribed up to 87. That's phenomenal. I am truly humbled by all of that. So thank you. Anyways, have yourself a nice, safe, long weekend.
Known as the swinging of the pendulum. The magician does not want to go against the swinging of the pendulum. He wants to go with the tide instead of against it. One either rules the planets or the planets will rule you. And one begins to rule the planets by going with the tide instead of against it. If you ever wondered why Wiccans are so fixated on the cycles of the moon, this is why. Everything has a rhythm, a cycle of waxing and waning. The tide comes in and the tide goes out. And I use the example of the tide specifically because it's regulated by the cycle of the moon. So if someone wanted to bring something to them, they would do magic during the waxing phase of the moon. And if they want to rid themselves of something, they would do magic during the waning phase of the moon. It's a push and a pull, expansion and contraction, a cycle of give and take. But the moon is not the only thing that waxes and wanes and has these cycles. The other planets do as well. And so the magician knows where the planets are at any given time. The law of rhythm is directly related to what we know as frequency. Now, most people think of frequency when dealing with the law of vibration. You hear of frequency and vibration, but frequency is not the same thing. Frequency is like the bridge over between the law of rhythm and the law of vibration. Basic components to basic astrology: the planets, the signs, and the houses. The planets are the power. They are the energetic forces that are going to be influencing. There are 7 traditional planets in astrology. There are 10 in modern astrology. Both traditional and modern astrology have their merit. However, we're going to be focusing on traditional astrology. Modern astrology adds the outermost planets, such as Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Saturn is exalted in the 7th sign of Libra. And Libra is ruled by Venus, which corresponds with the 7th Sephiroth of Netzach on the Tree of Life. The numbers 3 and 7 have strong associations with Saturn. Now, why in the world would the planet associated with death and dissolution be exalted in the sign of relationships? And I'm just going to go ahead and give you a $1 million occult secret right now to you artists, musicians, and writers out there. If you want to have a hit, you need to write about a planet in exaltation. Okay? Blue Oyster Cult, their biggest hit today, Don't Fear the Reaper, is all about Saturn and Libra. Every action movie is where it's, the one that has to save the day, the sun save the day, is Sun in Aries, Sun exalted in Aries. So there's a big occult secret right there. And you can use it, but you need to do it in the right way by actually honoring the planets, because they are exalted in that sign. They like their story to be told, but they want to be exalted in you telling it and honoring them, okay? Do it for their exaltation, not your own, if you want to have success in that. It's the same players on every stage, but it's how the story is told and what the attention is that determines successful or unsuccessful. But back to how Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. And that's marriage. Till death do we part. The wedding ring on the finger that binds you now to your partner by way of a marriage license or contract that now gives you certain duties and obligations and responsibilities to fulfill. And you also now have certain limitations imposed upon you. You're probably not going to be able to stay out until 4 a.m. while your partner waits at home and have a successful marriage. Saturn doesn't like the idea of an open marriage. Saturn is a traditionalist. He's a very old school guy. Now, Libra being the sign of balance and justice is why you see the judges in courts wearing black robes, and why the law is heavily based on contracts. And we'll get to that down the road. It's also why when Saturn was in Libra, we heard so much about gay marriage and equality in marriage. So that's Saturn in Libra. That's just a touch of it. And you can see how these things are right in front of your face, and yet nobody sees them. When I told you that there's just so much to this, I wasn't kidding. Now, Saturn's day is Saturday, and that's why it is the Jewish Sabbath, which is actually a star, and that is the sun. So let's get into it. The first thing we notice about the sun is its astrological symbol, the circle with the dot in the center. Oh, where have we seen this before? If you've watched the previous lesson on Saturn, you already know that the circle represents Saturn and its boundaries and limitations. And I also explained how anytime that you step into a circle for magical purposes, you're stepping into a Saturn circle. But it's more than that. You are becoming the sun within the circle of Saturn. And this is why in occult books they'll tell you that anytime you step into the circle, you are becoming the center of the universe. See, Saturn imposes the limits and the boundaries, and the sun pushes those boundaries. And this is the polar relationship between Saturn and the sun. Saturn will say, no, you can't do that. And the sun will say, yes, I can. Saturn says, prove it. And then you have to step up and prove it. And depending upon your specific placements, you may have to step up 7 times harder than anybody else in order to prove it.
Alright, so right here, I'm going to add something just for the podcast, I guess. If you're listening to this on the podcast and you didn't get this in the video, so a little extra tidbit. So if you look at the symbol of Saturn, it's just a black circle. Well, unless you're looking at that HT looking thing, cross with the H, the circle that comes down, that's Saturn's sigil symbol, but the circle is also the symbol for Saturn. All right, it's like the only one that has 2, whereas everyone else has just their main symbol. Maybe the moon is the exception to that, but nonetheless, the sun is the Saturn circle with the little dot in the middle. So that's what represents the symbol for the sun. So Saturn actually defines the sun's symbol right off the hop. And the sun is a very important planet. It's one of the things most people, let's say like 70% of people are going to identify with their sun sign more than any other sign, okay? But there's 30% of those people that, they might be a sun sign Taurus or Aries, but they're not going to identify with that because the rest of their chart is going to be more powerful because something's going to be opposing their sun sign. Therefore, they don't identify with it, and they're going to think astrology is crap until they find their whole chart. But nonetheless, the point I'm trying to get at is if you look at the symbol of the sun, the sun's symbol, you see that little dot in the middle. Frederick Xavier in this, maybe I'll take a picture of this video right here. Here, I'll do it right now, and I'll put it as a thumbnail so you can know exactly what I'm talking about. In the little center, he decided to put yellow, like the sun. And that's kind of what I want you to focus on for the time being, is the fact that that little dot in the middle is actually the sun, even though the whole symbol represents the sun. Okay. So the point now that I want you to focus on, between the sun as being in the center of that symbol. Sorry, here I go in my garage, there's people listening. I'm not a big fan of being listened to when I'm trying to record. So the sun is in the center, and Saturn is the very outmost ring. Okay, because even in Saturn, the planet itself, it's got rings on it, right? It's got the planet, it's got the ring. But let's think about it this way. The sun is the center, and then after the sun would be Mercury, then it would be Venus, then it would be Earth, then it would be the moon, then it would be Mars, then Jupiter, and then that black ring there is Saturn. And this is what he said by when you're stepping into the Saturn circle, you become the sun, okay? And then you're operating from that opinion. See, I when I do my lesser vanishing rituals and I do my Kabbalistic cross, I normally visualize myself up in space, feet still on the earth at times, but I'm up in space. And I see all the planets there orbiting around me, kind of like where the chakra systems go, which has served me well and worked well. But in a manner of speaking, you are the sun at this point. The boundaries that are protecting you within this astral plane are Saturn's circle, protecting you from anything bad from attacking you, getting to you. And so you're bound by Saturn.
at the same time. He's protecting you, but you're bound by him. This is why the greater ritual of the hexagram is an important thing to do, because it'll reduce Saturn's boundaries and limitations against you, so that you, the sun, you, because you'll get into the story of Christ here in a minute, in a really good metaphorical way of looking at it, how it's our story and how you're supposed to respond to Saturn. So stay tuned for that. That's coming as soon as I'm done talking here. But the point I'm trying to get, just trying to get the idea in your head that symbol of the sun is exactly what you're doing when you're in a circle doing a ritual. You are that center point within that Saturn circle. That's why we draw that Saturn circle. That's why we feel the energy come over our hand and go on the ground. Now, I like to visualize more of like a dome that goes beneath the ground, but nonetheless, you draw that circle because that is Saturn's circle. It's a symbolic representation of Saturn. Saturn banishes, but he can protect you. I know Jupiter is a planet most people go for protection, but you have to invoke that protection. Whereas when you just start with your two fingers visualizing a type of fire, and go around in a circle 3 times when you draw your circle on the ground when you do your ritual. And when you do that, you are invoking Saturn. You are invoking that protection. You are going into the astral. You are saying, this is the boundary, Saturn's boundary, and I am within it. And now I am here, and I'm going to affect my state of mind, which is eventually going to affect my reality. So that's just a little bit of information I just wanted to throw out there to help anybody who was ever like, why do we draw this circle? What's the point of the circle? How does it even do anything? Okay, maybe I can understand what the circle is and how it helps and whatever, but how does it do anything? Well, it's like everything else in this video. It's an archetypal thing that it's deeply embedded in our psyche. Like years and years and years of evolution hasn't changed these archetypal stories within humankind. They've been around forever. And I think now more than ever, more than any time, have we been closer to realizing these archetypes and how metaphorically real they are. Not physically or historically real, but metaphorically real. They're the stories that we love and we enjoy, and the stories that we identify with. They're the stories that we use to explain things and have our good life. But anyways, all that shit was just to throw out there that the reason why Saturn, if you look at every symbol, every planetary symbol, okay, Saturn and Jupiter, they have almost the same symbol. If you flip Jupiter's symbol, that looking little 4 thing, so that's the T and the H. It's Saturn. It's the same fucking symbol, but he's the polar opposite. And then after that, because since Saturn has a circle, Mercury, Mars, Venus, the sun, the moon is a half circle, but it's also an orb in the sky, right? So the point is, Saturn's in every single one of these symbols. Okay? The other part, I'd say, in your chart, your sun sign is going to be important, but Saturn and the moon are probably the next 2 most important, but Saturn being the most important in my book for my astrology. Now, your astrology might be more like the sun than the moon and Saturn, or you might be more Saturn, the moon, than the sun, but nonetheless, these are the 3 planets that are going to have probably the biggest effects on you. Even though Saturn affects you every 7 years, he comes down with the hammer if you haven't been doing good shit. So you really want to keep him on your side. But anyways, that was all just for the podcast, just to give us a little extra to, my podcast listeners, since there's a hell of a lot more there. And I appreciate all of you guys checking this shit out. And once again, have yourself a great fucking long weekend.
So the sun is the yes to Saturn's no. We've talked a little bit about paranormal shows previously, usually not in a good way, but the very first one that really broke through the boundaries was Ghost Hunters. They had the astrological symbol for the sun built right into their logo, because up until that time, shows upon the paranormal didn't do so well. It wasn't a topic that one would discuss without being considered nuts or crazy for believing in ghosts and spirits. You didn't discuss that stuff. People were afraid if they had paranormal activity in their house, were actually afraid to tell other people because they were afraid of what people might think of them. And along comes Ghost Hunters with with the sun built into their logo. Yes, we can do this. Yes, we can talk about this. And then after their success, every show wanted to copy them. Obama, his entire campaign was, yes, we can. And they'd have him in pictures where they'd have like a slight halo glow around his head. You know, the savior, because the sun relates to the savior, the hero, the one that does push the boundaries, the one that does get things done. Of course, it can be debated on whether or not that actually turned out to be true, but they certainly used their occult knowledge to bolster his campaign. Because these things strike people at a subconscious level. It's knowledge to bolster his campaign. Because these things strike people at a subconscious level.
I had to play that twice because that's kind of the main point I'm trying to get across here, is that these things strike people at a subconscious level. So my not initial idea, although, you know, I could turn my whole initial idea, which was about the water and me doing water magic and getting the water to happen, how it was all my head and whatever. Besides that, my second point about the symbolism on these rich people's houses and how it helps you. How does having the sun or the moon or Saturn or any of these symbols on your house, how is that going to help you? Well, he just said it, and I played it twice for you. These things strike people on a subconscious level, okay? That is the main point I need to get across here to everybody. And that's how these things can help you, by wearing your pentagram. Even if it's into your shirt, if you don't show it to people, it's fine. Putting a star on your house, getting symbols of the sun built into your window. I mean, that fucking door was phenomenal. It was probably like at least $1,000 for that door. Actually, it's probably more like $5,000 for that door. It was phenomenal the way the sun was in it. And the other one, even the one that was just Saturn, because it didn't have the extra circle in it. Like literally 2 houses beside each other. One has a door, black door, with a circle put out of it. And the circle is the window. And it had like a stained glass. The next house beside it was a white door, mind you, not yellow, which would have been a little obvious, but same concept with the circle of glass, and then an extra circle in the center, like the picture you just saw, of also the same kind of stained window. It was beautiful, very beautiful, but $5,000 to $10,000 probably each for those windows. But they strike people on a subconscious level. Those people might have bought those doors and not even known why, but they were just drawn to them like a moth to a flame. They just had to have that door, and they don't even know why. But I'm telling you, having these symbols around will bring you success, luck, fortune, healing. You're going to get the attention of important things, and these things will help you.
It's part of the human psyche. Remember, occult only means hidden. Doesn't mean the evil, devil, or anything like that. It just means hidden. Things that are hidden from your conscious awareness. And the sun represents your conscious awareness. So, of course, the occult is going to appear dark and foreboding if it's hidden from your conscious awareness, because the sun shines its light on everything. The sun also represents our sense of self, our identity, our willpower, what we focus on, our goals. As you may notice that the symbol also appears to be like an eye or a bull's eye. And so the sun also represents our goals, what we focus on, and our purpose. And we went over previously why having a purpose is so important. But we also talked about how the planets also have 2 sides to them. On the flip side, you have ego and self-centeredness. The sun also burns very bright and hot, and therefore the planets that come close to it can get inflamed or burned. Now, when we get into how the signs govern the parts of the body, you'll see how when the sun travels through a certain sign and aspects different planets, that those parts of the body can become inflamed. But that's another talk for another time. The sign in the house of where your sun is in your chart is primarily where your focus is going to be. And the sun is also about self-expression, because we are expressive beings, and that's what the sun does. It projects and radiates out against those boundaries of Saturn. When you express yourself, you're expressing your sun. And on the Kabbalistic tree of life, the sun relates to the Sephiroth of Taparith, which is the heart center. Notice I said center. In order to have a stable center, you have to be yourself grounded and centered. The sun sign is Leo, which is fixed fire. It's fixed. It doesn't budge. It's constant. If you really want to do something, if you really have a desire and the will to do something, Saturn's job is to get people to tell you you can't do it. No, you can't do that. The sun's job is to say, watch me. I'm going to do what's in my heart center, and I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't matter what obstacles are placed around me, what barriers are placed around me, what limitations surround me. It's in my heart center, and I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't matter what obstacles are placed around me, what barriers are placed around me, what limitations surround me, or what anyone says. I'm going to push through that. If you allow others to dictate to you what you can and cannot do, or allow your obstacles and limitations prevent you from doing what's in your heart center, then you are at risk of Saturn winning that polarity battle and becoming what is known as the black sun. Black being Saturn's color, where the limitations and boundaries surround the sun to where it cannot express itself, being resentful, full of malice, ungrateful, essentially becoming black-hearted, where the sun's light cannot penetrate through the darkness. The irony is that Saturn doesn't want you to do that. It sets up these oppositions for the sake of opposition. That is its job. It doesn't want you to fail, but it has to give you these oppositions so that you can succeed. Saturn doesn't put these obstacles and limitations and boundaries and people in your path to cause you to fail. It does so that it can keep the polarity going. Because if you succeed at everything and everything was just easy, you'd sit around saying, well, what's next? There's no challenge for me to undertake. Saturn's duty is to challenge you. And the sun's duty is to take up the challenge. And the sun relates to the hero, the savior. Christ is the savior, the sun. The sun is exalted in Aries, because the sign of Aries also has to do with the sense of self. Its motto is, I am. The sun represents the hero. So in Aries, it's, I am the hero. The sun is the savior. It rules the day. I am the hero that saves the day is sun exalted in Aries. And that's why every action movie where it's the hero has to save the day are the big blockbuster movies of the summer. We talked a little bit about the Saturn being exalted in Libra. You know, another example of that would be the movie The Titanic. Everybody knew how that one was going to turn out, yet it grossed so much money because of the love between the two characters, and then the guy died at the end. Sorry if I spoiled that for you, if you haven't seen The Titanic, but yeah. So that's Saturn in Libra. And we just went through the holiday season. Why do you think they call it Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving? Black equals Saturn's color. Friday is ruled by Venus, which is also the ruler of Libra. Saturn in Libra. They call it that because they want you to Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. If you haven't seen The Titanic, but yeah. So that's Saturn in Libra. And we just went through the holiday season. Why do you think they call it Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving? Black equals Saturn's color. Friday is ruled by Venus, which is also the ruler of Libra. Saturn in Libra. They call it that because they want you to come buy things. It's a planet in exaltation, and they know that this has a subconscious effect on people. Just another example. And so the sun is the Savior. It is the Christ, the Son of God. So a lot of pictures that you see of Christ always has that heart, that brilliant heart right there in the center of his chest. All the correspondences are there. And people want to debate whether or not Christ existed. Does it even matter? The problem is, and always has been, focusing on the man instead of the message. And the message was love, peace, and forgiveness while following your purpose and your goal, even in the face of extreme opposition. See, it's not the sun's job to judge. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Saturn is the judge. That's why judges wear black. I spoke a little bit about the polarity in the Bible in the previous lesson. The sun is supposed to follow its purpose and passion, the passion of the Christ, regardless of the limitations and obstacles before you. And in the case of Christ, was even under penalty of death, which is why it makes it so powerful. The Son of God.
Which is just kind of funny because with the story of Christ, Jesus was a Jew nonetheless, and the high Jewish priests are the ones that had the biggest problems with Christ. And like he already previously said, the Jewish Sabbath is Saturn Day. That's the god they worship, would be Saturn, almost exclusively, which is one of the reasons I say Judaism alone and Christianity alone are, both of them, just believing in one over the other is unbalanced, because Judaism is believing in Saturn. Christianity, you're going to hit Jesus, which is kind of like Jupiter, and you're going to hit the sun, which is Christ. Which is, that's two. And then you might hit Saturn if you use the Old Testament, because that's what Judaism uses almost exclusively, depending on the type and if it's an old mysticism. Because the Kabbalah I do is it's a type of Jewish mysticism, that would be one of the religions that I'm more into, would be Jewish mysticism, which is Kabbalah, and a lot of the occult stuff that I do, my rituals come from that. As much as people like to say it's satanic evil doing this shit, it's like, no, this is just Judaism. This is Jewish mysticism, very far from satanic worship. But anyways, I use those rituals as a means to get things out of my life and have success, not to worship solely Saturn as they do. But I just wanted to point out how, him talking about the story of Christ, the people that were persecuting Christ were the Jewish high priests, which were very close to, because they believe in Saturn. And he's literally talking about how Saturn is imposing its limitations on the sun, So that story of Christ is a symbolic story of the sun pushing against limitations, and how it's better off. You're better off to die for your purpose, to have a meaningful life, even if it's only for 33 years, for your life to be meaningful, at least for those 33 years, rather than being alive for 100 years and being miserable because you didn't get to do what you're passionate about. That is one of the meanings of the story about Christ, is literally, it's better off to have 33 years on this planet that you're doing your passion and your purpose, rather than having 100 years on this planet where you're fucking miserable. That is one of the stories about Christ, and one of the reasons why I say there is meaning in the Bible that you can derive out of it. And it's people like Frederick Xavier can help you derive that meaning. I also can help, but I get my information from people like him and other gurus and teachers I listen to. But anyways, just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Went around teaching peace, love, joy, happiness, forgiveness, all these things. Because if you follow what's in your heart, you're going to have these things. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You know, the Christians will say that, no, Jesus was the Son of God. He was the only Son of God. And, you know, but yet they forget Matthew 5:9, which blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the sons of God. The story of Christ is supposed to be our story. But the translations and explanations and literal interpretations have twisted things to get you to focus on something outside of yourself instead of what's within. They want you focused on history, his story, instead of the mystery, my story. See, Saturn rewards those who push back, those who prove their worth. Saturn gives us these heavy burdens and weights on our shoulders to make us stronger, just as picking up the heavy weights in a weight room will make you stronger. That's the reason that Saturn challenges us and gives us these limitations. The sun rules over the sign of Leo, the mighty lion, Lion of Judah. This sign is a sign of romance, creativity, children, and fun and good times. Its time of year is at the height of summer, when the sun is the most fiery in the sky. And when you stop to think about it, it's all those things that are important to us in our heart. Those things that are worth living and dying for. Most people would die for their children, no question. Is the story of Christ starting to make sense now? Christ was willing to die for his purpose. And that purpose was to show you how to correctly follow your purpose. The big one that everyone gets hung up on is forgiveness. So allow me to explain a little bit about forgiveness. First off, if anybody makes you angry, pissed off, or mad, you're allowing those people to have control over you. If someone makes you feel anything, then they're at the cause and you're at the effect. And it's no different if you need someone's approval or validation in order to feel good. You have to generate your own positive sense of self-worth from within. That's what the sun does. Relying on what's outside of yourself is allowing Saturn to dictate how you feel. Everyone runs around worrying about what everyone else is doing. They're playing the blame game, pointing the finger at everybody else as the cause of their problems, which is allowing the ring of Saturn to close in around you. See, Saturn demands responsibility, and the sun accepts the responsibility. So that's step one, is to accept the responsibility for yourself. The sun is supposed to push against Saturn's ring, but it's still within the ring. It still has to play by Saturn's rules. When people do you wrong and make you angry, understand that they're putting a charge on you, a negative charge. by allowing them to upset you and make you angry, you're accepting that charge instead of generating your positive state from within. And by accepting that charge, you yourself are becoming more negative and limited until eventually you have a black heart. Oh, you got to get them back. How dare they? You're putting too much value in the limiting opinions of others instead of your own heart, your own worth, and your own purpose. Well, so-and-so said this to me and did this to me and called me this, and nothing bad ever happens to them. Well, yeah, because you're still holding on to the charge. How can the charge return to source when you're still holding on to it? And I just blew some of your minds right there, didn't I? And isn't that what we teach in magic, though, that the magic isn't going to happen unless you release the charge for the request to be fulfilled? You got to stop thinking about it and let it go. And that's what forgiveness is letting it go. Letting go of that negative charge. And when you do that, the people that did you wrong are going to take a wallop. And the ones in the know causing all this shit certainly don't want you to know about this, because they're going to get their asses kicked. But you can't go about it with, oh, cool, I'm going to forgive everybody and get them rotten son of bitches back. No, you have to actually let it go. Because if you're doing it for revenge, you're still holding on to it. See, you actually have to let it go.